Real people, real stories, and real challenges that break the status quo. I'm your host, Živile, and welcome to Perception Paradox. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Perception Paradox, and today we're going into a very insightful, maybe a bit of practical and inspirational episode with Stoyan Yankov. Yankov, is that the right way to pronounce Stoyan?
That was really well said, yes.
Oh, amazing. Maybe we share some roots, actually. But Stoyan is a productivity coach and author who has helped over 400 companies across 30 plus countries accelerate their performance. And he's also a professional MC and moderator, traveling the world, living the life, always in a very good mood. So I think we're going to try to get some kind of secrets from Stoyan. How does he do that? What's his story behind, and how he put himself in front of so many eyes. So Stoyan, good morning and welcome to Perception Paradox.
Good morning, and before we start, I just want to invite everybody to go to their favorite podcast platform and sign up, subscribe to Perception Paradox, ladies and gentlemen, Apple Podcast, Spotify, and all other major platforms. So let's get this out of the way so we can have a nice conversation.
So today I have a guest who is immediately taking over the lead of the stage platform. So that's going to be very interesting, because I think when Stoyan and I, we meet, it's like it's a bubble of energy. But if someone says that I'm energetic, so I think you haven't met Stoyan yet. So that's why we have him on this podcast, to see that there are different levels of energy. So how are you today, Stoyan? It's a busy time, right?
Yeah, really good. This is my kind of morning off, if I may, like we're in the final stages of launching our second book. And for those of you who have written a business book, you probably know what I mean. It's editing, it's proofreading, it's all the details around the design, the illustrations, the marketing, booking myself to podcast conferences. And then you have business as usual, doing workshops for clients, preparing for keynotes, trying to be the best that I can be for my team, even though I would say the last couple of weeks I'm probably not, super available to them. But fortunately, they're very self-driven, so things somehow are working.
I'm glad that you found time to show up here, actually. Well, we dive immediately into the process. So question number one, how many hours do you sleep per night?
I try to sleep around 8 hours. But
you
to
try.
me, it's not always happening. To me, it's not even about the number of hours. I think everybody needs to understand who they are and how they perform and how they are. Because for me, it's like I need to go to bed before 11, ideally before 10:30, and then I'm gonna be fresh. I'm gonna be full of energy. I can wake up in the morning and then smash it the whole day. As opposed to if I go to bed after midnight, I might sleep 8 or 9 or 10 hours and I'm still not going to be functional as I usually am.
And how do you do then in the conferences? Do you go to any after parties, or you just do the Irish goodbye after dinner?
I'm the boring one. I'm the party people, really, unfortunately, but it really depends. So usually if I go to conferences, and this conference season, like now is the conference season, and then you have the one from September to maybe, end of November, kind of this super packed calendar. In these periods, I'm usually the party pooper. Hey guys, I need to go, 11 o'clock, bye. Because the next day I have to fly to another place and I have to give another speech, right? Except if my calendar allows it. Okay,
and if I'm at the conference, then we can go to a party.
If she really is in the conference, it comes with the priority.
I come with a party. But actually, I think during Web Summit, our party was meeting at 8 a.m. at Web Summit Lounge.
But that's our party.
Yeah,
people party at night and they're drinking. Our party is like, let's meet in the VIP forum lounge and let's just go around and talk to amazing people.
Yeah, I cannot do that anymore late nights. I mean, it just really destroys me. Unless I really don't have a flight or I don't have anything to do the next day. But it used to be fun. All right. So you mentioned your second book. So how long did it take you to write your second book? And what's the difference between your first and second book? First one was about also startups, performance, and etc. Now I do recall our conversation. It's about the performance in crisis.
So we started close to 2 years ago. It was August And my co-author, Cristobal, also reached out with a message, and he was like, dude, we need to do a book now about crisis. Everybody's asking, okay, it's great how we build culture, but what do we do when they're challenging uncertain times? And I was a little bit resistant to begin with. I'm like, oh, another book to write. I mean, for those who are writing books, it's not a walk in the park.
Yeah.
So now, nearly 2 years later, we are close to the end. I'm excited about it because I don't like to write. I don't like to write, really. I love to talk. I love to, connect with people, bring people together. But writing is something that I don't enjoy so
really?
much.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So have you tried recording yourself talking and then just use AI to generate the text?
I have, and it doesn't work for me.
Okay. I read somewhere that you were trying to use the ghostwriter actually for your first book with Cristobal. So for the ones who don't know, Stoyan and Cristobal, who is the CEO and founder of Startup Wise Guys, they wrote the book for startups and their team culture, right? It was focused on the culture mainly a few years back.
The first book was called Perform, The Unsexy Truth About Startup Success, where we investigate what are the core pillars of building a great culture. So we created this acronym. Perform stands for purpose and values, effective planning, roles and responsibilities, focus and execution, optimal energy, robust communication, mental toughness.
Okay,
and
cool.
Then we went out and interviewed and investigated many hundreds of successful startup teams, primarily from Central Eastern Europe, but from all around the globe. And just ask them, what do you do? How do you guys plan? How do you set goals? How do you stay focused? So we try to include all the learnings in the book, which is, of course, as you can imagine, it's quite a bit of a logistical nightmare, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I can imagine. I mean, I haven't done the book writing, but I've been working with publishing. But so what was your selection criteria choosing the startups for the book? What is the success in your terms?
Actually, there's a few, and it's more intuitive. Probably the number one was the no BS-ness. Of course, you're happy to include some unicorn founders and those kind of famous startups, especially when you can get from them something nobody has, right? But also, we felt it's super meaningful if you get, the Serbian founder next door with 15 people team that kind of built it from scratch. So, if I look at Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos, everybody shares stories about these guys, amazing, but is Mark Zuckerberg? What about Peter from Serbia? That's kind of built his own thing. I can relate to that guy. So relatability was a big factor, no BS. And then something that's practical and tangible, that, you take it, you can apply it already tomorrow. Oh, it's a story. People love stories. So, okay. This guy went to this challenge, this struggle, he didn't know, but then this is what they did. And maybe they failed, maybe they succeed, but this is what we can learn from it.
Epic. That's really cool. And how did you approach your second book then?
It's pretty much the same. I mean, it was a little bit different because...
Did you use the same startups? Or you just...
Some of them actually.
Okay.
But the difference was, as you know, I'm also a podcaster. And we're going to record a podcast with Živile actually in like an hour. Like we're just doing a swap right now for the audience, right? Just so you know. Yeah. But the difference was, for the second book, I already had interviewed a whole bunch of people, and I had some stories, I had some examples. We had some really good connections to people because of the previous book, because of the work that I do, because of the conferences I speak at. So there was a little bit more curation. So, for example, we have got the founding president of Starbucks International, the guy who pretty much, he joined the company when there were 30 shops selling coffee beans. He was the guy who incorporated servant leadership in Starbucks, and he was the guy who was vouching for scaling the company internationally. He was the founding president of Starbucks International, scaled the company to 15,000 stores. Can you imagine the scale?
That's epic.
He was super kind. His name is Howard Bihar, the most servant leader, if there is a word like that I can think of. He joined my podcast, and he, at some point of the podcast, he says, by the way, here's my phone number. Here's my email. If anybody needs anything, call me. I want to help.
No way. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Did you follow up with him? How many people called him?
Actually, I haven't. That's a good point.
That would be really interesting,
That's
like
a
to
good
do a
point.
follow-up and to see, because sometimes it's also, I think we think it's too good to be true. And many of us don't try and miss on many great opportunities and conversations because we're just scared of something that even did not happen, or we are scared of rejections.
That's the thing. Like people are like, "Oh my God, how did you get the founder of Reebok on your podcast?" I ask him.
If you don't ask, you don't get. But that's pretty cool with the book. So you're now about to go on your book tour, right? If you finished, it means it's quite exciting.
Yeah, for sure. For me, the exciting part is when I finish
Yeah.
writing the book, you know?
All right. But then you mentioned that you don't like writing, but you just finished your second book. Where does your intrinsic motivation come from?
It's just a number of things. I don't like writing, but I like talking about the ideas, like structuring frameworks, talking about ideas. I don't like the process of putting into text that's, very well structured and it's in a written form. So my motivation, it's first of all, what comes out of it, right? Having a book gives you the chance to share a message. So I can reach a lot of people. We can potentially share our philosophy, our stories, our examples. We can help people. And from a business standpoint, you know very well when you have a book on a specific topic, you get established as an expert. There's plenty of opportunities that come out of it. So I'm always trying to seek opportunities for something that's impactful and it is business-wise makes sense.
And when you started writing the book, so you're known in different fields. Have you experienced an imposter syndrome? Or I don't know how to write. Or it was more like, oh, I have so many ideas, I'm just going to write them down, because you and Cristobal, you're both very energetic and very like kind of big dreamers. How was it for you? Because of course, when you do big things, there is also pros and cons. And the con side that you always get some kind of negative feedback or just someone's opinion that can affect if you don't know how to kind of filter it,
It depends on the day you called me.
Is it a good day today?
No, today's a good day for sure. But and I'm trying to be super honest and blunt. Some days you feel like you're the king of the jungle, right? Everything comes, it's flowing. It's like But in many days, it's quite the opposite. You're like, why am I doing this? Who am I to say I'm an expert in crisis management? I haven't done what the people that I'm interviewing do. Like, why should people listen to me? I mean, I have a small team of 7-8 people, right? I haven't built a global international company. And you're like, why should people listen to me? And then you kind of try to ground yourself and say, look, man, you're just condensing the information. And then you try to look inside and look for evidence that you are actually doing quite well. You've actually gone through, in my case, this book is about crisis management. You've been navigating crisis all your life. Maybe not this type of crisis, you didn't have a team of 5,000 people and you kind of had to resolve some big problems. But I mean, look, we come from Eastern Europe, right?
Yeah, we do.
There's so much about resolving challenges and issues that we've been supposed to do all our lives. So, I mean, if you look inside, you can always find evidence for the things that you do. But just on the topic of imposter syndrome, I recently interviewed the former vice president at Microsoft. He worked directly with Bill Gates, and because of that, he was invited to all these cool places and meeting literally the most important people business-wise in the world. And he told me, we have this little video, everybody has imposter syndrome. Mm-hmm. Bill Gates, he said, I can't recount how many times Bill Gates was in the room and I was with him and he didn't know what to do and he was questioning himself. And I think it's important for everybody listening to understand everybody has imposter syndrome. Everybody thinks, why am I here? Why did people invite me to speak in front of 4,000 people and listen to me? Like, who am I? Like you sit in the backstage and you're just going through all those thoughts yourself. But I think the important thing is just to own it.
I was about about to say the same. Literally on the top of my head, I was like, yes, you have to own it.
Oh, you gotta own it, and you can be honest. You can be completely honest. I
Yeah.
just want to mention, because when we talk about it, I just thought about a story from another really interesting guy. His name is Ryan Folland. He did 4 TED Talks. He's a communication guy. He's a professional speaker, and he shared with me this story where he was about to speak at a huge conference, and he's freaking out in the backstage. And then he's like, oh my God, how would I do it? You know, everybody's inspecting me. And then he's looking at the mirror in the backstage, and he sees he has a big pimple. And there's this big screen, so the camera is zooming in on the faces of the speakers, right? So he's like, oh my God, what did I do? So he takes on his phone, and he calls his co-author. They wrote a book called Ditch the Act, which is about showing up vulnerably and being yourself. And he calls his co-author. He's like, dude, what do you do? And he's like, that is amazing. Tweet about it. And he's like, what? Come on, you gotta make a tweet. Okay, he takes a selfie, makes a tweet, and then he hashtags the conference. And he's like, okay, so, and now our next speaker, Ryan Folland. So Ryan goes on stage, but he didn't realize that they will put on the screens the hashtag of the conference.
No way! Oh my God, that's
So his tweet comes up. It's like, I have a pimple, right? And 5,000 people. He looks at the screen, and he goes out, and he's like, hi guys, I'm Ryan, and I have a pimple. Everybody starts smiling. Everybody starts smiling. Everybody, people are literally kind of crying out of the vulnerability. And because he shows up honestly and vulnerably, he says, I'm a little bit anxious and afraid, but I'm going to try to give it my best. Right? And people connect. People connect.
Yeah, I think we've been portrayed in a too perfect world with the social media landscape. And now that vulnerability topic is quite amazing that people are encouraging people, just us, to show up the way we are and without the masks. That makes you a different person. That's such a great story. Thank you for sharing. It made me cry a bit.
I mean, look. I just want to add something here.
Please do.
You can be vulnerable, and it should come from a place of strength.
Yeah.
Because there's no excuse. I just want to be vulnerable, and you play the victim game.
Oh yeah.
Like you get hired to do a speech. I don't know. You didn't sleep well. You have something. You're a professional. You gotta show up. You gotta deliver. Okay. Maybe you can be vulnerable, but you gotta deliver the value.
Yeah.
You gotta. It has to come from a place of strength. I'm gonna quote another friend of mine. His name is Mark Harrison. Very inspiring guy. Serial entrepreneur. Built an agency of over 100 people in Canada. Now has more than 10 businesses. Board member, and he's speaking across the globe. So I invited him to my podcast, and he said every time I'm challenged with something, and he actually acquired this when he was young. Every time there was a challenge, I had a struggle, I would take a pen, I would take a piece of paper, and I'm gonna write the letters DFS. Deal from strength.
Oh wow.
And that was for him the mental trigger. So every time there's a challenge, his mind starts wandering. He will write down DFS. And I want you to think about it, the audience listening to this podcast here. Next time you struggle with something, you're faced with a difficulty, just try to think, what would my highest version do? What if I deal from strength? What would that mean? And usually you have the answers.
And what are your means of coping with that? Let's say you have an event gig next morning, you wake up all sore, bad sleep because, I don't know, food poisoning, whatever. You wake up, you have to show up, right? There is no really plan B at the end of the day usually. How do you deal with these kind of situations? Like, do you have some kind of pep talk? Tell
I have a story.
Stoyan has a story. Please go ahead.
Story time. Look, I don't know if you know, I did a TEDx talk. So the TEDx talk, that was, I mean, I can't even say how many things went wrong the day before. I slept an hour or 2 hours. I'm not going to go in detail, but because of all the logistical things, all the unexpected things with, oh, your slides needs to be changed to different dimension. Oh, this is not going to work. It's 10 p.m. Oh, the hotel room doesn't have an air conditioner. It's super hot. You open the window, there's a huge, sort of like not a highway, but like a road that's super noisy. And you're, of course, a little bit nervous, right? Because you have a TED Talk. I fall asleep around 6 in the morning, and I have to wake up 7:15 or something. And because I opened the window, my throat, my voice was not the same. So you wake up in the morning and you wake up after a couple hours, so, and you're like, what do I do? Like, this, I was hoping and working for this for a couple of years. Now I'm here. What do you do? But then I remember, right? My talk is about, you got to show up. It's the best opportunity ever, right? Mm-hmm. If I can make it today, man, give me the easy time when I kind of sleep well and everything. So I'm like, okay, I found this ginger shots. I got some strepsils. I got a Red Bull. I don't drink Red Bull, but it's like I need to pump myself up. I was the first speaker. So I'm like, okay, I get some chocolate, Red Bull. So 15 minutes before the speech, I kind of get myself ready for the speech. Mm-hmm. And I can only do my best. This is the circumstance. And fortunately, I come from mathematics. I studied, in high school of maths, bachelor and master in finance. And there's this thing in mathematics. I don't know if you've been studying maths, but everybody who studied maths, they tell you, here is a triangle. The triangle is 5 centimeters of this and that, and this is the problem, solve it. What does that mean is, you can't say, oh, I wanted the triangle to be 10 centimeters, not 12. No. You can't change the circumstance. This is the problem, right? It's given. Mm-hmm. So it's like, forget about the past. You're here now. I'm here now with you. Right? I can't say, oh, why didn't we talk about this? No, we're here.
Yeah.
How can I get the best out of it? So that's what I did. I closed my eyes. I listened to close to half an hour maybe to an audio by Wayne Dyer. It's one of my favorite kind of audios. It's called, I think, 100 Ways to something.
To live.
We can post it afterwards, but it's like you can post Wayne Dyer 100 Ways to transform your life. I think to transform your life.
I think it could be.
It's a super nice music, and he's just like with
the binaural beats, etc.
Yeah, exactly. Gets you in this frequency.
Binaural beats really does the magic. Actually, if you really a bit step back, and if you need to set yourself into the mode, binaural beats are the way to go. Actually,
I gotta tell you, I did my TEDx. People loved it. If you ask me, I would say, could be better, because I know what my potential is, but people loved it. And I think that the biggest blessing is it really helped me to let go of any nervousness and anxiousness when I go on stage today. It doesn't mean I don't have any, but because it was so challenging and so stressful and I made it happen, I know in my subconscious that whatever happens, I'll make it work. So every time I go on stage now, the nervousness disappeared to a very huge extent, not fully, but
maybe you kind of trained your muscle and brain that regular day on the stage when you're feeling good, it's kind of no stress day, and you've been through more challenging ways. But was it always that way? Let's say that. How was it for you when you started hosting and emceeing and moderating, showing up? Were you always satisfied with your performance, or did you get into this loop? Oh, I could have done better. Oh, I could have done better. Because sometimes as being like super high performance, you really get into this kind of, cycle where you like get this loop. Oh, I could have done this better. Oh, I could have put more energy or something. And it's never ending loop that sometimes people find it hard to break through. After quite some recent conversations, how was it for you? Or you were always, or you're good with being grateful and complimenting yourself and so on?
I was the worst. And just to give you a perspective, in high school, when I was asked to come on the blackboard or whiteboard to present a lesson, share, I would freak out. I was so bad. I get all the bad grades, and I was always super well prepared, but I would get the bad grades. I was shaking, and I was almost stuttering. I would just go blank. And the reason for that was we grew up in this type of environment in Eastern Europe where it's like, you got to be perfect or you're not good enough.
Oh, yeah. That's why I was like, when I asked now this question, I'm like, oh, we share the same mentality where like, you have to be perfect. You cannot do mistakes. There is no room for mistakes.
And I don't even think my parents wanted to teach me this. I think they're both teachers, right? But because their standards were high and they were inspiring me and my brother to perform, I kind of took it the wrong way. So up until I was 25, 26 years old, I was so afraid to go on stage and speak, even in front of a small group of people. So I started moderating, not speaking as the star, right? But moderating different events, my own events, which was a little bit easier because I would only say, hey guys, how's everybody? Here's our speaker. So it was very short moderation, right? It wasn't yet the conference moderation stuff. And slowly I started building this confidence, but I think the biggest game changer was, and you know how life gives you what you don't want to sometimes go for? But
I mean, life gives you what you want and what you're ready for, I think, or sometimes we're not ready, but what we need. Life gives us what we need.
I had a coaching client because I did a coaching academy in London. Okay. And while I was building my video production company, working on it, I started doing coaching on the side. And after maybe a year working with a client, we finished a session. He's really happy. He's pumped. And he asked me, Stoyan, how did it go? How are you? How did it go with your workshop, with the one that you wanted to put out when we started working together? And I'm like, well, you know, I'm very busy. I have all these video productions, so it hasn't been a priority. Excuse. And he looked at me and he said, you've been helping me, pushing me to achieve my goals. I moved to another country. I found a girlfriend. I have a new job. And I acquire some of it to you because you helped me. You pushed me to get out of my comfort zone, but you are not working on your goals. And I'm going to give you the biggest blessing. I will push you now to put your own event. And you have 30 days to do it. And if you don't deliver, you have to pay £500. And he said to an extreme feminist organization that hates men and thinks they're horrible. Or something similar that's like, you know. And then, all right, hangs up the phone. I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? I'm not ready. I don't have the time. But I did. I made an event on Facebook and invited everybody, found a location, 60 people, waiting list. You know, everybody's like, oh my God, we can't wait. I'm nervous. I just go in front of the mirror. I record myself. I ask my neighbor, hey, can you listen to me? And is it good? Whatever, like all this stuff. I'm so freaking nervous. And I show up and it's a full room and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be so bad. Like everybody, they'll see how big of an imposter am I, posting pictures and all these kind of things. So I start the workshop. People start to get comfortable, I've been to all these events, Tony Robbins, whatever, so I've seen what he does. So I'm like, talk to each other, discussion about this. People have a good time, right? So the workshop finished. I'm like, good, survived. Yes, let's move on. So I'm happy. And there's this girl from Asia, a Chinese girl. She comes to me after, I didn't know her. She signed up online, and she saw God, like literally, she was so excited. She saw the Michael Jordan or whatever, right? Like she was like, oh my God, can I talk to, oh my God, like of course, I just wanted to survive, right? And then she shared with me, and this was a game changer. This was the point of no return for me. She told me that for her, this was the first time somebody told her that she can be a leader and she can make decisions. And she said that she's 25 and she never made a decision. She would call her dad and mom and say, anything. What should I study? You got to do this. Okay, cool. Should I go out today? Do it. Should I go to this event with Stoyan? And they say yes or no. And she said, if when I get married, my husband will decide. This is my culture of my region in where I live. And you tell me that I can be my own leader. I can show up as the hero of my own movie, as the creator. And I'm a little bit confused, but at the same time, when you ask me to close my eyes and to imagine my future, it was so vivid. I want to be a storyteller. I want to inspire other women in China to be their own leaders and get over themselves, show up for themselves. And then she hugged me. And she hugs me and she just stays. And I feel like the biggest idiot, right? Because it's like, for this 18 months of me procrastinating to live my story and to go out and speak and everything, I was only thinking about myself. What would people think? How would I perform? Me. And when you shift a little bit and say, how can I be there for others? How can I give? What if I inspire one person? What if I can bring a couple of people together? Now, every time I prepare for a speech, my intention is, my mindset is, if I'm given 20-minute slot, how can I make this 20 minutes the most meaningful 20 minutes for this group of people there?
Totally.
And then the nervousness goes away.
Because you're there not for yourself, for everyone. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Was it the moment actually that kicked off or pushed your emceeing, moderator, workshop creator career kind of thing? I
would say so. I mean, of course, there's many moments, right?
Yes.
But this was a big push that right after it, I was like, okay, that's it. And I started proactively reaching out to book myself on events.
Okay.
Then I get invited to speak. My first conference was in Aarhus. Chaos Pilot, this school
I know,
organizing.
Yeah. But that's a really cool school, actually. Cool.
They had a festival. I forgot the name of it.
Chaos Festival or something, but it's Design Thinking Festival.
Yeah. No, it was 1 year. You know, I don't think they organized it anymore, but it was like a festival of creativity. And then somehow they said, yeah, come and do a speech.
Nice.
And then you know, I posted the pictures. Somebody said, come and teach in our film school. And then I did so much outreach that you cannot imagine. People think that's you and me. We just, hey!
People come to us, but that's not how it works, actually.
Guys, that's not how it works. Trust me.
That's literally sales. You're selling yourself.
Really? I mean,
no, you're selling the experiences.
I mean, to be on the stage of Web Summit, me and Givile, we ended up being both of us on the stage, emceeing and having a bit of time to do a speech there. Trust me, guys, it's not just, you know, I'm just sitting home and somebody just calls and says, Stoyan, we are just...
That's not how it happens, Stoyan, excuse me. I've been waiting for that call.
Shocking, you know?
Thought twist. So how did the events come to your career or your life? Because you mentioned that you were shy about this whole public speaking thing, and right now you're top-notch performer on stage, moderator, MC. What's the story behind with that?
Lots of reaching out to begin with. So if I can put it into phases, the first phase was nobody knows me. I haven't done stuff. I don't have my original content.
Yeah.
So I started looking into what's something that's unique and interesting about me. Okay, I'm a finance business guy who have been producing movies. And then I know stuff about productivity, so I can maybe find an angle. So I started calling people, sending emails. I think I reached out to somebody told me you should speak in high schools in Denmark. So I wrote 130 emails to high schools in Denmark. And? Individual emails. It's not copy-paste. Individually. I was researching. I received two answers. One of them was maybe next semester. The second answer was Naitak.
Naitak.
There was no high story. There was just Naitak, which means no thanks. So I was like, okay, that's not going to work this way. So what I did, and I would recommend everybody to do that, no matter the industry in, I was like, who knows how to get speaking gigs? Speakers. Interesting. Who's a speaker? So I went to LinkedIn. I don't know speakers, so let me go to LinkedIn. Speakers, Denmark. Okay. LinkedIn gives me this list. And I'm like, hello, Michael. I'm Stoyan, I'm getting into the speaking thing. Let's have, I want to buy you coffee and just have a little chat, whatever. I think around 5 or 10 people said yes. I had coffee with them, and then you learn, how do you get speaking gigs, Michael? So Michael says,
how did you start?
Where did you start? What did you do? So slowly but consistently, you find your own ways. And the more you have something to offer, like when we created the framework, right? Perform. I have a framework. I have a methodology. I have a book. Right? I have something to offer. There is a speech you can watch. Okay, so what can you do to make yourself valuable? So an event producer can, because we are not, unfortunately, me and Givile, we are not Michael Jordan. We are not, Michelle Obama. So we gotta figure it out somehow.
But where are we? Yes, we all have our own authentic ways of doing stuff and creating value.
No, for sure. But you're not a celebrity. So you gotta find a way to.
Yeah.
A celebrity is gonna sell tickets usually, or somebody who's
an influencer
celebrity
or
in business, let's say, right?
Yeah.
So if we're to compete with this type of people, we have to offer something. And often, I mean, these days, again, it's a lot of personal introductions. Event producer who's seen me speak, they introduce me to other events. I will be proactive sometimes and say, hey, could you recommend me? Could you make an introduction to this event? Other speakers, right? You speak at an event, another speaker is in the audience before they do their speech. Then you have a chat in the networking lounge, in the VIP lounge, whatever. And you have a chat and you see their speech. You like them. Now, next time I go to an event, you feel like we just did the same with you. I'm like, hey, I'm going to this couple of events. They're looking for a great moderator. I've seen you moderate. You're kicking ass. You have a great energy. Love to. Is that something interesting? It's a win-win-win, right? I introduce you. You guys connect. Event is getting some cool moderator. The event producer is happy. And I connected you, so I generated value. So, and then in 6 months, if you like what I do, you go to another event and potentially you might also do the same.
Yeah. I love how you're doing all of this like in a very approachable and kind way. So it's not like, I don't know, it seems kind in general because you show up there in the conferences, you care for environment, you care for people, you're curious to get to know. So I think that's pretty cool. I would like to follow up on your event career, but why? Why do you want to be on stage and what pushed you to go in front of the people?
When I was 20 years old, somebody brought to me, and that's going to be very cliche, but I'll share it anyway.
Okay, please do.
A friend I had a new classmate, and that was the first year I was a student in university in Bulgaria, in Varna. And he came to class for a few days, and then he came to me one day and he was like, man, his name was Stoyan as well. So he comes to me and he's like, man, I just see you're so positive, you're so passionate. Like, I want you to read this book. It's a gift from me. And I'm like, book? Dude, what do you mean book? I've only read 5 books in my life, and this was because of school. Yeah, I was 20 years old, right? Like, come on, man. And he's like, no, really, read the first 15 pages. If you don't like it, leave it. But read it. And truth being told, he was part of some multi-level marketing company, so I think that's some sort of a lead generation process he was doing. but I read, it was the book from Robin Sharma.
No way. Which one? The Ferrari? My mom sold a Ferrari. Yes. Did it buy?
Yes, and that was such a cliche book, right? But it worked on me because I never been exposed to anything with personal development, so I read this book. And then I read another book, and then I bought all the Kiyosaki books, and then I bought anything I can get to, and then I started going to courses.
Yeah,
I went to this 10-day course, which, really, this is crazy. My mom signed me up for a course for self-healing because I had some injury. I was a football player in school, high school, in university, so I had an injury. And my mom signed me up for a course because she thought that's gonna help me to cure my injury faster.
I like your mom. Yeah,
She bought it, right? And I have no choice, but I have to show up. And I'm like, Mom, come on, self-healing. What is this? Now I go to this event, and it's every day, 6 p.m. for 10 days in a row, for 4 hours. The first thing they ask you to do is to stand straight, like a superhero, and put a smile. And you do it for 4 hours.
You just stand on straight and smile?
Well, they're teaching, right? They do the course.
Okay.
But while they do, you have to smile and stay like this. And if you kind of drop a little bit, they're like, hey, you know. So you gotta do it, and you're like, oh my God, what is this?
Oh, so that's why you're acting so weird in the meetings. Okay, sorry, continue.
No, but like, okay, the first day super weird, second day weird, but you start to feel kind of good, you know?
Yeah.
Because they ask you to meditate, you close your eyes, you imagine your goals, like all these different tools and techniques in one system, right? Like you write your goals, you share them, you imagine, you know, your place of your body, like the self-healing thing, right? Like you imagine that it's healthy, whatever. I mean, it's been 10 days, you're breathing, and you start making changes, and it's like, oh my God, this is crazy. This is so good. I mean, there's you know, there's so much to it. Then I did a Tony Robbins event, which was another great, you know, those of you who have done Tony Robbins, it's crazy, right? It's a huge boost. I did a Vipassana. I started going to all these events.
Nice.
10 day silent retreat. Have you done the silent retreat?
I mean, I've done it my own way, but I haven't done it official way. I always wanted to go, and now actually I had to go this month, this winter, but because of my back, so I cannot really sit, and I want to do it like very properly, sitting way. So, but I'll do it. I do my own ways of, let's say, mind retreats in different ways, but yeah.
Sure. So I mean, all these experiences, at some point, I kind of felt, well, what if I'm the guy that's helping in my own way to other people? It just makes me happy. It's, you know, the feeling, like you go on stage, you do your thing, the feeling you can't. I mean, it's such a feeling just being on the stage, and just after a month after your presentation, your workshop, you receive a email from somebody who says what they did and change in their life because, you know, they heard something or they did this exercise, and it's just, you know, I cannot explain it. It's you're filled with meaning, so it combines everything, you know, all your passions in one place, bringing people together, sharing, synthesizing complex information into simple, digestible kind of chunks. So it's amazing. I'm curious.
That's beautiful.
I know you're the interviewer, but I'm curious what excites you to be a speaker, to be an MC.
Oh, it's been a long journey, but I think it's very shared and similar. I think when you have a lot of energy and sometimes you have different perspectives on things, you're out there proactively just doing things, getting things done, and dreaming big, and not like having dreams bigger than your fears. And I found that if I go up there on stage and I share about that, or I bring some energy, it can change some people's life. And then I thought, like, yeah, that's literally one of the ways I can, I don't know, make this world a better place in a way, through this inspiration, through maybe sharing my example. It's not going to be a fit or resonance for everyone, but I think the main idea that we just need to take action in life, right? And to adjust what's the safe risk for us to get closer to that change. So I don't know, I think I share a very similar thing, that I find this a stage as a playground, as a place where you can express yourself, also in a way a bit perform, while with the main idea behind is not to show off, but actually to see, okay, I've noticed that I can kind of a bit mediate the energy in the room, right? I can bring out a lot of energy. I can bring out a lot of bad energy as well. Everyone can. And I've realized that what if I use this for actually creating the atmosphere and to making people to think big, to believe, to find themselves. So yeah, I guess that's why. I don't know, it's just nice.
You know what makes you unique as a moderator, as a speaker, as a podcast host?
No.
You're so genuine when you show up. I gotta give you that. You just have this energy that's so natural, so organic. Like because you show up so natural, so genuine, just hey guys, like this kind of vibe, this energy, and you share from the heart. You're not trying to be cool. You share also your struggles, like you're just super natural and organic, and people connect, people resonate. I think that's one of your secret weapons, and I appreciate you for that as a speaker, as a podcast host, as a moderator. This is one of the most genuine conversations I'm having on a podcast as a guest, and the reason is because of you, because you're highly intuitive, you make me feel comfortable, and you just know how to lead the conversation genuinely. So I appreciate you for that.
Thank you, Stoyan. I'm blushing. Oh my God. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you sharing that. I think we share a lot of things when it comes to this whole world of performance and care and some kind of a bit of the healing and helping. I don't know if we put it that way, because now it's becoming a buzzword as well. So I'm trying to step out of that and just to do things that feels right. But I'm always was very curious to ask you, because I've known you about your books, activities. You really built a very strong presence and brand about performance around you, about the productivity. I always would meet you and it feels like you got your things done. You're like, yeah, I'm having now this meeting, that meeting, then I'm going to get some lunch. Do you wanna? We can catch up then. No. Everything is like super organized. How did this performance and productivity show up in your life? Because that's not very common. We all struggle with procrastination. We struggle with some kind of, sometimes with productivity, because we want to learn it all, but sometimes you need to be smart. What is it for you, the performance and productivity game?
It's a lifestyle. It's a mindset. To me, productivity is living intentionally.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta find who you are, and you gotta be you. I know it sounds a little bit of a, okay, I've heard that before, but I mean it. It took me a while to understand what my strengths are and to own my weaknesses. I studied finance. I love finance because I'm extremely good in rationally solving problems, breaking them down. That's why I love mathematics and finance. However, it's very asocial. it's not like. And when I was in university, especially in Denmark, one of the best business schools, the best program in finance, I was a little bit better than average in my class, and I was the hardest working guy. So I felt I'm probably not good enough. I should probably give up. These guys are studying less and they're performing better than me. And then I remember I always bring people together, right? I organized a party, and one of my classmates was like, dude, this is not a great party, but the way you sold it to me, the way you made me come here, it's just incredible. You should do something with where your skills can be utilized, right? Like you're so good in bringing this energy, bringing people together, and I'm like, everybody can do that. And he's like, no, that's not true. And I listened to a video. I don't know if you know this guy, Chase Jarvis.
No.
Chase Jarvis is a photographer. He has a podcast. He's like this influencer, like a real influencer guy from the US. I watched the video a little bit after this conversation that I just shared. I watched the video with Chase Jarvis with another photographer. And this other photographer told him, Chase Jarvis changed my life. Because I met him a few years ago, finally, my hero, and I asked him to give me feedback. And he said, well, great photos, but what's unique about it? Everybody can make these photos. You gotta find what's unique about you, and you gotta market the shit out of it, and that's how you succeed. And then this guy goes home depressed, right? Like, I met my hero, he thinks I'm an average guy, and he's like, wait a second, what if I see myself as a package of all my strengths, experiences, passions, things that I like to do, strengths, networks, everything. I put it into a imaginary bucket, and then I see what comes out of it. In his case, he was an industrial designer. Okay, photography, industrial design. Okay, I can maybe do these more complicated productions with more practical things. What else? Okay, so I did the same thing, Jivile. And I think to live a productive life, to be intentional, you gotta realize what do you love to do, what comes natural to you, what are the things that, your experiences, backgrounds. You and me, we're networkers. We're, bringing people together. We like to ask questions. We are curious people. We have a lot of energy. I have background in finance. I love to talk. I have background in movies, right? Movie productions. I understand storytelling. So, okay. So let's start from there. How do I get this and design a life and a career that's natural to me? Okay. And then what does productivity mean? Living intentionally every day. And that means some people think productivity is this super structured, just every minute you schedule it. I cannot do that.
Fully booked calendar. That's what I thought, like back in the days, like 2011. I really felt like productivity is that my calendar is full. Every single minute is optimized, which was misconception in that way. That time it was.
We know that, right? Effectiveness versus efficiency. Like you gotta start with effectiveness, which is like, what are the things that I want to do? What's the exact outcome? What is the intention? You go to a conference. What is your intention? What do you want to get out of it? You plan a holiday with your partner. What is your intention? Meaning, what do you want to get out of it? Okay, I want to chill, relax, and not think about anything. Cool. You might schedule your vacation differently as opposed to I want to party my ass off. Right? But every single day, you might want to ask yourself, and this is something I keep on repeating everywhere. People probably heard me say it. You got to spend 20, 25 minutes every day. Like block it in your calendar. This is time for time management or thinking time. Like I usually do it at the end of my working day. I review my day. So I'm like, okay, did I make major improvements on my goals and priorities? Because you start for the long run. Was I there for my team? How did my meetings go? Okay, let me reflect a little bit. And then what should I produce tomorrow? How do I get the best out of tomorrow? What is my intention? Jim Rohn, those of you who don't know Jim Rohn, go check him out on YouTube. The father of personal development.
You're not a tree. That's the best one, sorry.
No, but he has the thing on the productivity side. He has the thing, don't start your day until you have it finished. Meaning, don't start your day until you took the time to look how could you go through your day, what are the exact results you want to produce by the end of the day, and then you build it backwards. Okay, let me block 2 hours for this. Amazing. This is the exact outcome. People say sometimes, founders, what are you going to do tomorrow? I'll do sales. Okay, what does that mean? I'll do sales. You can do sales for 14 hours and call 2 people. What is the tangible result you're after? Okay, I will call these 17 leads from my list and send them offers if they're interested. Good. How much time is it going to take? 3 hours. Cool. Let's break it down. When are you going to take a break? Good. Put it in your calendar. All right. What's next? Oh, I didn't think I'll have more time. What will you do now? How are you going to get the best out of it? Like when you structure things in this type of way, I promise you'll be so much more productive. You gotta put time restraints for the things that you do. Brochure. I'm creating a brochure for this. Okay, how many hours is it gonna take you? Oh, I don't know. No, you have to set hours. 4 hours. Good. Let's go. And now you focus entirely 100% on this one thing.
That's it. Actually, there is a very good book I got recommended by this man called Dan. He was the 6th employee at HubSpot. And he has a mentorship program. And he said everyone who wants to join his program first has to read one book and then send the free key learnings. So I'm finishing that book. And it's a pretty awesome book. It's called Succeed, How to Set Your Goals, something like that. And it's all about this goal setting, about this planning, how much you're going to spend, how you're going to track it, what kind of goals we as individuals set. So, for example, myself, I'm this person who looks always into what are potential wins. Well, if I set those goals, but there are people who looks more into what are the losses. And that's how the brains are wired and how can we work together. So it's really cool, actually, a book that gives you a good overview of how the goals are being set, how we all function different, the brains and so on. Have you read it, actually?
I haven't.
That's pretty cool. I think you would like it. You also could get Dan on your podcast about productivity. He's amazing. So can check it.
I'd love to.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, but I still want to go back a bit to the root. So you kind of figured out you need to understand your authentic way, and also what you're good at, what are your potential weaknesses, and so on. How did you approach this kind of exercise? Were you doing that by yourself first, or did you kind of get a mentor or a coach, or maybe a friend circle?
All of them. So I'd say initially it was going to these experiences, courses, programs. Like, as I said, the Tony Robbins program gives you a lot of like a big toolbox, this coaching training. I used to go to these conferences with a lot of exercises that. So these personal development workshops, I love it because it's an environment where you get somebody leads you, so you don't have to think about anything but your goals or your self-awareness and these kind of things. But then you got to continue when you're not on the workshop, right? You got to do it on your own as well and find the tools that work for you. One such tool for me, which was very interesting, was something called the passion test.
The passion test,
so
okay.
Imagine, Shivile, I go to Norway 2014. There's a conference next to a lake in this, like we were in these condos. Breakfast is given to you. They bring you the breakfast to the condos. Like this super amazing, like little village full of personal development people, right? and then we have a conference. And one of the speakers, her name was Janet Atwood. She does this thing called the passion test. And this was exactly the time that I was already thinking I want to be a speaker. I'm a movie producer, I want to be a speaker, kind of. So I'm always just going there and talking to people, right? So I was kind of blocking her. She was getting out the stage, and I found a place she would get out. So I went there, and she came out, and I'm like, Janet, what an amazing speech. Loved it. I have a question. Oh, yeah, of course. I am a film producer, and I want to be a speaker. You're a big shot speaker. How do I become a big shot? She kind of smiled, and she was like, she thought about it for a moment, and then she was like, Stoyan, everyone wants me to help them. You would be shocked if I tell you how many people after this speech will ask me for something. And I want to help everybody, but I don't have the energy and resources to be there for everybody. There's just few people that will ask how they can help me. Very few people in this audience will do that. And this is what I did myself. When I wanted to be a speaker, I went and I helped all the big guys. And in her case, that was Jack Canfield, the author of Chicken Soup for the Soul. Half a billion copies sold of the book.
That's insane amount.
These kind of people, right? So yeah. she started asking the question, how can I help? And started organizing events for them, doing the marketing, promotion, whatever. And all of a sudden, at some point, people were like, Janet, didn't you have a passion test? We have this big event. Go and do it, right? So I would say this was such a revelation for me. Like, and I asked her, Janet, how can I help you? You know, and
well, good move.
Yeah, she was smiling. She was like, what can you do? I'm like, well, I'm a movie producer. I do amazing videos. And I showed her a couple of videos. She was like, oh my God, we got to talk. She wrote her number on a napkin. She gave me a napkin with a number, like, okay. And I called her, and she had a house in Copenhagen, north of Copenhagen. So I went, I did some videos for her. She signed me up for a super nice coaching program. And the passion test, an amazing tool. So what is the point of the passion test? You can go check it out, find the book, do the test yourself. You get into this more, nice mindset, frequency, you listen to some music, whatever, meditate a little bit, and then you write down, what are some things that I love to do? Okay? And you can answer the question, when my life is ideal, and then finish the sentence. I dance, I go to the forest, I travel, I build businesses, whatever comes out. You write 10 to 15 sentences, the first that come to mind, and then there's a process where you have to compare everything with everything and say which one wins, which is kind of really cool. It's like, which feels better, dancing or going to nature?
Love it.
Which feels better if
For
you
me,
ask.
actually, my brain was saying dancing, but within myself, I love nature, so I don't know.
The second one
But,
is the truth. This is a good point. The second one is the one that you have to go for.
Yeah.
You have to switch off your brain. It's really difficult, and you should be completely honest what your heart tells you. But sometimes we do the passion test, and somebody says, "Take care of my parents and go to travel," which feels better. Well, of course, I have to take care of my parents. Of course, you have to,
Yeah.
but it's not the point of this test. Do you love it, or is it something that you do because it's the right thing to do? You still will take care of your parents, but this is the test to figure out what makes you happy. Okay, so let's be honest, and then we'll get back, and you of course take care of your parents. Okay, and then you do the test, you compare everything with everything, and you figure out what's the number one, number two, number three, number four, number five, things that give you the most happiness. And from there, you can say, well, how much am I living each of these passions? From 1 to 10. 3, 7. Okay. What can I do? How can I put more energy into the thing that give me energy and I'm passionate about? And then you start coming up with ideas, right? So I'll say the passion test is something that I do every once in a while, which is not the brain, it's the heart.
Yeah.
And then you combine it with the brain. Okay, let me be a little bit more realistic now that I did the passion test. Let me try to evaluate my life, the different areas. What are the goals that I want to set with my business personally? What are some areas that I'm not paying attention to? And being realistic, what are some things that I probably don't have the energy to pay attention to? Because you can't be everywhere. I don't believe there's balance in everything all the time.
I thought so back in the days, but now I realize no, we always had this balance, but it's always evolving, right? In the period of time as well. If you want to go all in life, then there is no real balance. It's just you're not chasing, you are living the passion and what's right. And then it can change, I think, no? Or how do you see this balance and harmony? I mean, I call it harmony, actually, where you put the energy where it feels right and in the specific amount of period of time of your life.
I think if you look at nature, there's nothing that's perfect.
Yeah, it's seasonal. Like life is seasons.
Yeah, it's kind of seasons, right? Like it's sun is shining, then there's the rain, then it gets the river gets messy, and the trees fall down, and is that perfect? No, that's life. And I think it's life is kind of the same. You don't have balance, but you can be intentional about which are the things that I'll focus on and probably pay more attention to, and which are some of the things that, at this stage, at this phase, I don't intentionally choose to pay attention to. And that probably will be a little bit more messy, right? The founding president of Starbucks, we talked about this same question, actually, Howard Bihar, and he gave me the metaphor from ice skating. When you're skating, you're never in balance, right?
But you're in harmony.
You keep going. And for him, he had periods that he has to scale the company. So he's working 70, 80 hours weeks, traveling like crazy. Is he in his balance of well-being and sleep and, like energy? Probably not, but it's intentional. Hey, this is a period I want to build my business. I want to grow. The founder of Typeform was on my podcast. It's close to $1 billion valuation startup. He said that, the first few years building a company, you're probably gonna have to overwork and have bad days, and it's fine. You'll be stressed. You'll probably not be in your best shape. I'm not saying you cannot do it, but if it happens, it's fine. Just be intentional. Just be intentional. Sit down and ask yourself what do I want to focus on, and what do I want to say? Not now, maybe. That's not important now. Which areas are not important now? Maybe you're, I don't know, going out and socializing might suffer a little bit when you're building your ambitious startup. Maybe. I don't know.
It depends, I guess. It really depends, but it clearly can suffer.
On the contrary, I think everything is possible. We mentioned getting things done. The author of Getting Things Done, David Allen, is also been a guest on the podcast. He had this saying that was acquired. There was, you know, I don't know if he said it, but you can see quotes with his name on it. You can do anything, but you can't do everything. Which I love, because when I was a kid, they used to tell me you can do everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's one idea deeper when you say you can do anything, but you can't do everything, right? Because if I focus on this, I can do these 17 other things at the same time.
Yeah, totally. More of those wisdom nuggets you can find on Stoyan's podcast called Mastery of Productivity.
Productivity Mastery.
Productivity Mastery, yes, that's correct. But yeah, you really have some great guests focused on like how to improve your performance and life and in general. So that's pretty cool. But look, Stoyan, that all the things you're doing, right? Besides writing, it's a different type of energy. Speaking, coaching, workshops, podcasts. It takes a lot of energy. You mentioned a bit already Vipassana, you mentioned some kind of grounding techniques and that you've got into this, let's say, inner world quite early in comparison to the fellows. What does help you to stay grounded, and how do you keep and maintain your energy? Because it is quite hard after one day on stage. Sometimes, I mean, you feel energized, but it also takes some kind of energy from you, right? You need to rest and so on. How do you do that? What do you have a secret sauce?
I mean, there's no secret. I think it's the stuff that everybody knows, but not everybody does. You know, like
it's sleep,
drinking a lot of water, going to bed early, going to when I'm traveling, visiting the hotel gym or going for a run, meditating in the morning, even for 5-10 minutes. I can't really do so much more when I'm on the road, but 5-10 minutes in the morning. Eating well, especially on the road, this is the game changer. Sleeping and eating. I know it's simple, but it's so easy when you go on a plane and, you know, Lufthansa gives you this whatever things, and there's these sandwiches, and, you know, you fly with Polish Airlines and they give you these little buns.
Oh, those buns, yes, with the cherry or apple, I think.
Spinach and apple.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, look, it's so easy to take, just one. But, you know, especially when you're on the road, you should be super, you know, salads. You should go lean on eating, because compared to being home, when I travel, my energy would be 80% instead of 100, just by default, because of the waking up early, flights changing. Yeah, so I would say you gotta double down on your simple stuff: food, drinking a lot of water, going to bed early, having some space in which you don't talk to people. I mean, you know, you're on the road for 3 weeks. I mean, here and there, just have a day that there's no meetings. You can do whatever you want. But that's the kind of stuff, like taking breaks during the day, walking. I like to listen to high vibrancy conversations like your podcast, like you know, audiobooks, other speakers. So I go for a walk and I would listen to this to refresh and to recharge a little bit. And then being around inspiring people, that's the biggest probably.
That's so cool. Yeah, I agree. That's why I love those conferences where we have some. I don't like really big events, but at the same time I love, because we attract so many interesting people that usually it would be difficult maybe to bump into them with different circles, and it's just like, whoa, it expands your mind, it blows your mind, literally. But it's super cool. Thank you so much for sharing. I think it's quite funny also. Those secret sauces, like just the simple things. And when it comes to all the biohacking, we think that the pill can change our lives, but if we don't have calibrated sleep, food, and movement, then no pill will help you actually to live longer at the end of the day.
You know, our first book initially was supposed to have the title The Unsexy Secret of Startup Success, but we were having a discussion. It's like, there's no secrets. It's people want the secret sauce and the magic pill and the 7 things that do. It's like everybody knows the stuff. That's the challenge with my teachings, Sifile. The stuff that I teach, everybody knows it. I mean, I give you the step-by-step kind of simplified tools to do it, but really, you go to Google, you find it. It's like doing it consistently, because consistency is always going to beat intensity, right? Yeah. I want to be strong, right? I commit to change the shape of my body. Okay, strategy 1. I go to the gym. I do my very best training with the best trainer for 5 hours. I get the best protein shake. And then I wake up tomorrow and I'm strong. I'm amazing. Probably not. As opposed to, well, let's find a practice that I will follow through. It's not going to be the best practice, but I'll be consistent. I'll go 3 or 4 times a week. And I'll follow through, and I'll get into the gym and I'll do something, depending on my standards and ambition. But something that will not make it so complicated in my dynamic life. Well, I'll go for this strategy, right? Consistency. Same with your company culture. What is the one strategy that will change your company culture? I don't know. I mean, let's talk about what are the challenges first, but what are some practices you can start incorporating, practice philosophy, do them on a consistent basis, so you can build a culture, cultivate a culture with some of these features. I'm sorry, you got to do the work. Spoiler alert, you got to do the work.
We have to do the work. Amazing. Nobody will really press record for you in your own life. That's actually a great thought to finish our maybe part 1. Let's see what future holds. Maybe we can come back here and to discuss how did your book tour go and what were the learnings and the flaws. Because I think organizing a book tour and putting yourself out there, it's like it's another kind of trajectory and role to really push it through. But talking about the book, where can we find your book? Is it already available online to buy it?
So the book is going to come out June 18.
June 18, yay!
By the time of the podcast being posted, we might have a link. I don't have the link now, but probably we might have the link at least for the pre-orders. Right now, actually today we're going to launch a little landing page with where people can get a sample chapter and see if that book is for them.
Awesome.
So I can send you the link to that as well.
Please
the book is called Perform in Times of Crisis, with over 50 examples, cases, insights from many companies from across the globe, including Vivino, Starbucks, startups, bigger organizations, of what did they do in order to prepare for a crisis, survive a crisis, and get the most out of it.
Awesome. And is it a book for someone who wants to build a company and for founders, or for anyone who wants just to learn from other people?
So the way we wrote the book is we are addressing the founder. And if you think about it, when you're building a company, every day is a new crisis. So even if you're not going through like a specific crisis, I would say this could be really practical, really useful. However, despite the fact it's written for founders, I would say anybody who's a manager, who's leading people in a bigger organization as well could benefit from the book. But it is for managers, it is for leaders. How do you manage yourself and how do you manage your team so you can face a crisis, survive a crisis, and get the most out of it?
Awesome. Okay. Looking forward to, and I always like to finish the episodes with a question from the guest to the audience to ponder on. Like, that question would be something that would help us to get closer to our authentic selves while pondering through the day. What would you like to leave our audience with?
Well, so the question to the audience I want to leave the audience with is, what is something that you've been postponing for quite a long time, but you know that if you do it, it's going to have a massive positive impact on your life or your career?
Bam! This is it. Stoyan, where can people find you?
I'm super easy to find. Just Google my name, LinkedIn.
Say my name, say my name.
Stoyan Yankov, you can see how it's spelled. Super easy to find. Drop a line on LinkedIn. You can go to any podcast platform and find Productivity Master with Stoyan Yankov. Easy to find. StoyanYankov.com. That's the webpage. If you need any help with somebody external to come and put together like a workshop, a program for your team to help you boost your team culture, your productivity, get in touch. Or if you just want to share some thoughts on this podcast, always happy to chat. And just to wrap this up where we started, remember to subscribe to Perception Paradox, podcast by Jivile. You can find that on any podcast platform. I'm listening to it, as I said, usually when I walk, when I go for a run. It's always very inspiring to listen to this thoughtful conversation. So make sure to do yourself a favor and subscribe.
Thank you, Stoyan, so much. Well, I know now what to do during our next conversation. But thank you so much for joining the podcast, to coming here with all your thoughts, energy, and in general ideas. It was very interesting to get to know you better, actually. I still have so many questions, but I felt like, let's leave it for later. You cannot spoil it all. And I can't wait to actually read your new book. I think it's going to be super exciting because I kind of feel like it's also applicable for individuals or smaller business owner, because at the end of the day, we're all human, right? And we want to learn how to work with each other and with ourselves.
I'll send you a copy of the book after the talk now. I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
Nice, okay.
Already, so can't wait.
Amazing. Okay, so thank you so much for joining. See you very soon somewhere in the world. And everyone, it was Stoyan Yankov, who is a master of productivity, performance, MC. So all the links will be in the comment, also including his podcast, where you can learn a lot about everything, about life, productivity, and good nuggets. Stoyan usually gets asks really good questions and straight to the point, so it's very practical. And yeah, if you want to learn more, read the books. There are some practical information.
And full transparency, in 2 minutes we're starting to record the episode with Jivile on the productivity mastery. You don't want to miss out on that one.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone. Have a good day whenever you are. Cut. Done. Thank you.